In 1927, archaeologists excavating beneath the Step Pyramid of Giza at Saqqara made a discovery that would quietly baffle the engineering world forever. Buried in a labyrinth of underground galleries were an estimated 40,000 stone vessels. But these weren't made of soft clay or easily carved limestone. They were fashioned from some of the hardest rocks on Earth: granite, basalt, metamorphic schist, and translucent diorite. Many of these vases date back to the Pre-dynastic era and the very First Dynasty, meaning they are older than the Great Pyramids themselves. Welcome back to Learn. Today, we are exploring an artifact mystery that happens on a millimeter scale, yet presents a massive logistical puzzle. When you examine these stone vessels under modern metrology equipment, the results are nothing short of haunting. We are looking at vases with long, slender necks and bulbous bodies, hollowed out through an opening no wider than a human finger. The wall thickness remains perfectly uniform all the way around, sometimes measuring less than a millimeter thick. Some are so perfectly balanced that they rest on a base no larger than the tip of a pencil, tipping over when touched, only to return to a perfect upright equilibrium. Mainstream history states that these were handmade by primitive artisans using flint tools, copper tubes, and loose sand. But as modern engineers look at the flawless symmetry, the concentric tool marks, and the radical geometries, they are forced to ask, did the earliest Egyptians possess a machining technology that completely vanished before the New Kingdom? To understand why these vessels trip up modern engineers, we have to look at the material science. Geologists rank the hardness of minerals using the Mohs scale, ranging from 1 to 10. To carve a stone efficiently without your tool deforming, the tool must be significantly harder than the target material. During the pre-dynastic and early dynastic periods of Egypt, iron and steel did not exist. The most advanced metal available was native copper, which sits at a soft 3 on the Mohs scale. Yet the Egyptians who lived over 5,000 years ago were choosing to work with diorite and Anorthosite Gneiss, igneous and metamorphic rock that rank at a staggering 6 to 7 on the Mohs scale. Diorite is so incredibly tough that modern master sculptors rarely attempt to hollow it out by hand. They use diamond-tipped rotary tools and high-pressure water jets. If you strike a block of diorite with a copper chisel, the chisel flatlines. It bends and dulls instantly. The conventional archaeological explanation relies on abrasive drilling. Workers supposedly used a bow drill to rotate a copper tube or a wooden crank, feeding a slurry of water and quartz sand beneath it. Quartz sand has a Mohs hardness of 7, meaning it can scratch and wear down diorite over thousands of hours of agonizing friction. While experimental archaeology proves you can grind a hole into hardstone using this method, it falls short of explaining the precision of the finished products. Abrasive slurry is unstable. It wobbles, creates tapering, and leaves irregular gouges. It does not naturally create walls of perfectly uniform paper-thin thickness. The plot thickens when we subject these stone vessels to digital metrology and 3D laser scanning. Independent researchers and industrial machinists have analyzed several of these prehistoric vases, mapping their surfaces to check for deviation from a perfect geometry, cylinder, or sphere. What they found shouldn't exist for hand-carved objects. On many of these pre-dynastic plates and bowls, the concentricity, how perfectly centered the inner bowl is relative to the outer rim, is precise to within thousandths of an inch. The curves follow exact mathematical ellipses or parabolas. When a human artisan shapes a bowl by hand using an abrasive stone, they constantly check their work by eye and touch. This inevitably creates micro-asymmetries, areas where one side is slightly thicker or the curve flattens out. But these Egyptian hardstone vessels don't show human variance. Instead, they feature perfect, consistent, parallel wall thickness, even around complex undulating shoulders. Even more confusing are the tool marks. Under magnification, many vessels show distinct continuous spiral grooves scoring the interiors. These are not random omnidirectional scratch marks left behind by hand polishing with sand. They are regular rhythmic feed lines, the exact signature left behind when a material is spun on a lathe or cut by a fixed mechanical bit moving at a constant rate of speed. Perhaps the most radical example of this ancient precision is an artifact known as the Sabu disc, or the schist disc of Saqqara. Discovered in 1936 in the tomb of Prince Sabu, dating back to roughly 3000 BC, this object is carved from a single solid block of metasilt stone, a fragile layered rock that flakes and fractures easily under uneven stress. Look at this design. It features a central hub around which 3 incredibly thin, curved lobes fold inward towards the center. The outer rim is remarkably thin. When engineers first saw the Sabu disc, they noted that it looks absolutely nothing like a piece of dinnerware or ritual vessel. Instead, it looks shockingly like a modern industrial mixing impeller, a marine propeller, or a component of a centrifugal pump. To carve this out of solid block or brittle stone by hand without snapping the delicate sweeping lobes would require a master craftsman to spend months applying perfectly uniform pressure at every single point. One wrong strike or one uneven twist of an abrasive stone and the entire disc would shatter. How did a culture that allegedly hadn't even invented the wheel yet manage to conceptualize, let alone flawlessly execute, an aerodynamic 3-lobed hydrodynamic shape in fragile stone? Because the quality of these vessels peaks before the later, more famous dynasties of Egypt, a compelling engineering hypothesis has emerged: the use of an advanced mechanical lathe. To achieve perfect concentricity, a uniform wall thickness around a hollow interior, the vase must be spun on a fixed axis. Proponents of ancient machining suggest that the pre-dynastic Egyptians possessed high-speed, heavy-duty lathes, possibly powered by foot pedals, flywheels, or water systems. By spinning the diorite or granite block at high speeds, a fixed cutting tool, perhaps tipped with rare, ultra-hard stones like corundum or even diamonds, could shave away the rock with mechanical accuracy. This would explain the flawless curves, the parallel walls, and the continuous spiral tool marks. However, mainstream archaeologists point out a major flaw in this theory. No such lathes have ever been found in the archaeological record, nor are they depicted in any Old Kingdom tomb paintings. The paintings we do have from later periods show workers using traditional manual stone cranks to hollow out vases. But here is the counter-argument that trips everyone up. The stone vessels depicted in those later tomb paintings are almost always made of a soft alabaster or limestone. The production of hard diorite and granite vessels actually declined and virtually stopped as the dynasties progressed. The pinnacle of hardstone precision occurred at the very beginning of Egyptian history, implying a peak of technological mastery that was later lost. The 40,000 stone vessels buried under Saqqara tell a story that conflicts with traditional linear narrative of human progress. They suggest that our ancestors weren't just slowly evolving out of the Stone Age, they experienced sudden, spectacular bursts of technological brilliance that we are still trying to decode today. Whether these impossible vases were created through centuries of unbelievable human patience or via an industrial, mechanical methodology that has been entirely erased from history, they stand as a monument to human genius. What do you think? Were these vessels the product of infinite ancient patience and primitive sand grinding? Or are we looking at the undeniable proof of a lost mechanical lathe technology? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you love this deep dive, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to learn, and turn on notifications so you never miss another exploration into the mysteries of our ancient past. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.